Let's get back into it. I don't quite remember what happened last. I think we're on day 3. Yep, day 3. Oh, we just ended day 3 probably. My eyes started to close and I fell asleep after a moment. Yes, indeed. We just finished off day 3. Day 4, oh, won't we get any glimpse of night dreams? Nope. Damn it. I woke up with a hellish ringing inside my head. The ringing seemed to be coming from the depths of my consciousness. Or maybe it was an alarm clock. But after I came to my senses, I realized that the ring was my alarm clock. Strange, where did it come from? Why is it standing near my bed? Well, I'm guessing Olga put it there. It was 7:30 according to the clock. Olga had already left and there was nobody to force me to go to the lineup. Thus, I can sleep a little bit more. I closed my eyes, but seemed like my consciousness has already had its coffee and was ready for a long, productive day. I need to get up. I should plan my day out. After all, I need to at least find out something today. Liar. But still, nothing came to my head. Fine, I need to wake up completely and wash myself. On my way to the wash stands, I met Zhenya. What got you up so early? Anything wrong with being up early? She looked at me as if I had insulted her. No, nothing, just curious. None of your business. All right. Gosh, Zhenya isn't very sympathetic even when she's in a good mood, but today she just looked furious. Oh my god, this guy is so clueless. He promised to go help with the library after dinner? I don't remember. He promised to be there, and then, he didn't even consider going there. He completely forgot about it. He didn't remember at all, which is weird because he didn't have that many plans. The cold water perked me up. The fog in my head dissipated and my thoughts started arranging themselves. Curiously, I started to worry about finding a good place in the canteen more than about finding answers. I brushed my teeth and I was going to leave when a quiet sound wafted past my ears. It's probably a squirrel or some animal. I heard another sound, this time a bit farther away. I walked 10 meters along the path, searching for the source. Nobody, just the morning forest. I returned to the washstands and saw Miku, who was looking for something in the grass. Noticing me, she smiled and jumped up to me. Oh, hello, good morning. I accidentally scattered my tooth powder, just trying to gather it all back up. She was the musician, right, I think? The dewy grass didn't seem to be helping matters. Are you sure that's a good idea? Well, why? What else can I do? I don't have any more. It was the last I had. She pouted like a child who had just had her favorite toy taken from her. Here, I'll give you mine. I dug into my bag. No tooth powder there. Strange. Didn't I just put it there? I walked away for just a minute and now it's gone. Listen, it looks like I have forgotten it. I didn't want to tell her that it had just gone missing. Knowing the sensitivity of this girl, it was safe to assume that vanishing household goods would impress her so much that her brain would reset itself in order to avoid overheating. Do we know her at all that well to say this? Well, I'll be off. Yeah, cheers. Visit us. Visit me in the music club. Yeah. I'm still alone there, but because the voice faded in the freshness of the summer morning far behind me. I wonder why the guitarist, isn't part of the music club. Getting back to the leader's cabin, I took my cell phone and looked at the battery meter. Enough power for a day, maybe even less. Of course, it won't help me much here, but still. I've gone 4 days without trying to use the phone. He hasn't even tried. Fuck asshole. Finding my charger in the 80s would mean inventing it. Still, regardless, the morning was shining and beautiful. Bright sun was shining over the space and time displaced pioneer camp Sauvignac, warming its residents and filling them with energy to spend the day productively. Or in my case, to waste it in futile efforts to find an explanation for everything that. He's such a liar. He's lying to us he's lying to himself. I don't know, futile efforts. He's not making any effort whatsoever in finding an explanation. He doesn't care at all. He's lying. It bothers me a lot. There was an unusually large crowd near the canteen. Of course, there was no other place in the camp that pioneers loved as much as the canteen. But why were they all crowding on the porch? I came closer to find out what was going on. It looked like all the camp had gathered at the porch. There were all the familiar girls, Olga and Electronic. They were having a lively discussion. I drew closer. Semyon. Have you seen Zurich today? Nope. What's the matter? We haven't been able to find him since early morning. Disappearing pioneers. Well, that's something new. But he was with you yesterday. She was talking to Electronic. Yeah, he was. So you woke up this morning and he wasn't anywhere to be found? No. Why didn't you come to me immediately? Well, I thought he got up early and went to wash or something. Did he mention anything yesterday? Interjected Slavia. For example, that he was going somewhere, for instance. Nope. What exactly is so horrifying about that? It's only 9 a.m. He might have decided to go for a walk. You don't know, Zurich. She looked over at me seriously. Well, I don't, but I don't see anything suspicious in this situation. Okay, let's stop panicking. We'll find him. How could he miss breakfast? Juliana grinned. Exactly. Time to eat anyway. The pioneers proceeded into the canteen. Yet again, I had no choice where to fit in. The only free place was at the table with Alisa and Juliana. Take a seat, she pointed at the chair next to her. Oof. Sat down. Aren't you gonna eat your food? Good idea, I hadn't thought about that. Today's breakfast didn't look much different from yesterday's, but it looked more appetizing. Or maybe I was just very hungry. Or maybe I was eager to finish it off as soon as possible to avoid yet another Uliana prank. Want to go to the beach with us today? When? Right after breakfast. Generally speaking, relaxation wasn't on my agenda today, but if I was going to spend my time thinking, why shouldn't I do it while getting a suntan? Was he going to spend his time thinking? I thought he was going to look for answers. See? Fucking liar. Sure, why not? Cool. She smiled nicely. I bet you're planning another prank. No, not at all. Juliana waved her hands at me. Sure is, Elisa grinned. She's always like that. I looked at Elisa attentively and then suddenly remembered yesterday evening, her strange behavior, our quarrel, but now she looked like usual. Maybe there's no need to say anything to her? Though I wasn't going to. At the end of the day, everything that happened that night stopped seeming unusual, if it was just a dream. No way. I think she's right. Nobody believes me, says Juliana. Juliana took her tray of dirty dishes and stood up. Enjoy your meal. She said it in such a way which left no doubt. Nothing good awaits me today at the beach. Then why go there? Me and Elisa were left alone. I guess I shouldn't go with you after all. Eh, why is that? Well, I've got something to do. And what exactly would that be? She looked in my eyes, and I couldn't even find an appropriate excuse. I don't even have a swimsuit. Try mine. You think it'll fit me? Give it a try. I don't think it's worth the effort. Don't be a wimp. We'll find you some swimming trunks. Those words only added to my fear. Wait for me by the canteen. I'll be back soon. Okay. There's nothing wrong with waiting for her, is there? Finishing my breakfast, I left the building and sat on the stairs. Pioneers, all having their own business, hurried past me one by one. No one stopped by me. No one even looked in my direction. It seemed they didn't consider me a stranger, but exactly the opposite. Just another teenager, their age, their comrade, you could say. I caught myself thinking that I had started to consider this camp and its inhabitants with not as much caution as I had on the first day. Indeed, Elisa was back in a couple of minutes. Ready? Ready for what? She gave me the trunks, though you could hardly call them trunks. They looked like pink boxers decorated with butterflies and flowers. Actually, they were boxers. I'm always afraid to ask, but where did you get these? You scared to put them on? Well, I have not the slightest intention of doing so. I appreciated her joke, but wasn't going to make myself a laughingstock. Put them on, she said roughly. Why don't you try them instead of me? I think that the color of this swimsuit would set off your eyes very nicely. Let's make a bet. I had no desire to accept her bets. No thanks. All right, you either go to the beach wearing them or you swim naked. Weighing the pros and cons, even the second option seems better than the first. I'm not planning to go anywhere at all. Then I'll tell everyone you left these trunks in my cabin. Why would I do that? How should I know? She burst into laughter. I didn't want to argue with Elisa, so I decided to go to the beach. But not in these flamboyant trunks. All right, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't be late. She ran off after saying that. I dragged my feet to the leader's cabin to get a towel and hopefully find something like trunks. Olga was waiting for me in the room. Simeon, did you hear anything about Shurik? Same as half an hour ago. I walked to my bed and took a towel. Are you going somewhere? Yep, to the beach. Wait, do you have swimming trunks? You came here without any luggage, as I recall. Strange, that fact didn't seem to surprise her during our first encounter. No. So what will you wear? Good question, what? I don't know. Wait a minute. She walked to the wardrobe and unlocked a drawer. In a moment she had a pair of normal black trunks. Where did she get those? More importantly, why? Someone from the previous session might have forgotten them? Considering all the strange things in this camp, It wasn't really surprising to find men's swimming trunks in Olga's room. Thanks. The trunks were just my size. Of course they were. I got changed behind the cabin and went to the beach. A lot of pioneers had already gathered there, but I recognized only Elisa and Uliana. Come here. I walked over to them and sat on the sand. I see you found something better. She stared at my trunks and smirked. As you can see, come on, let's swim. I don't want to. Maybe later. I was not a fan of swimming. Then what with the swimsuits? Trunks. Suit yourself. The girls ran into the water. Why did I come here? Why am I not out looking for answers? Exactly my question. Should I care about it now? Sobniok seemed normal. Certainly, a lot of strange things had happened to me during these 3.5 days. But none of them, taken separately, seemed at all supernatural, especially since I didn't get any closer to finding so much as a clue. On the contrary, everything that has happened had only confused me more. What alternatives do I have? I won't get any truth from the local residents. He doesn't know that. That's not a fact. He hasn't really explored that questions. Though I doubt they even know it. That is a valid point though, but still he hasn't done enough. Should I try to leave this place? How far can I walk, considering I don't even know where I am? It turns out my only option is to wait. So, like, don't stop talking about it. After some time, the girls came back. Uliana held something in her hands. Look! I looked up and saw a crayfish. Just a normal crayfish. Oh my god. Uliana lay next to me and started tormenting it. Leave the poor animal alone. Why? It's just a crayfish. So what? It has the right to live too. Rip its claws off and boil it for dinner, as if we have nothing else to eat. I looked at Elisa. She seemed to be totally uninterested in Uliana's fun with her sea creature. Tell her, what's wrong? It's a crayfish. It deserves it. It looked like the girls missed their lessons on nature in primary school and lacked empathy for the environment. Give it. I snatched the crayfish off Uliana. Suit yourself. I was a little surprised she didn't resist. I looked into the eyes of the poor animal. They didn't express anything at all, but I thought that if it could speak, it would certainly be outraged. Maybe it would even go to the UN Convention of Human Rights. Tell the truth, I wasn't sure that would help. I took the crayfish to the river and set it free. Never mind, I'll catch more. There are plenty of them here, said Uliana. No doubt about it, I mumbled. Time passed and I was getting sleepy. I fell asleep. I don't remember what I was dreaming about. If I was dreaming at all, but I woke up when someone shook my shoulder. Olga stood next to me. Did you come to swim too? I asked, still half asleep. No, it's almost time for lunch and we can't find Shurik, the leader said, standing before me in a wet swimsuit. And I want you to look for him. Seems like I'm the only pioneer in this entire camp. I was sincerely outraged. Every time I was getting closer to that Olga considered me. Every time it was getting clearer that Olga considered me her errand boy, to be used like a slave, or vice versa. If I came to you, then I want you to help me. Why exactly me? However, after giving it some thought, I decided to agree. After all, my shoulders and my back got sunburned while I was sleeping, and searching for Shurik would get me acquainted with unexplored locations of the camp. Okay. It was not exactly right to wander around wearing only swimming trunks, so I should get changed first. Why did he? 10 minutes later, I stood outside Olga's cabin and decided where to go. Oh, that's their home, I guess. Boathouse. He wasn't there. Let's go to the boathouse. Maybe Shurik decided to pick up some stones near the water. What? In the worst case, I'll find his corpse. But I'm sure that it won't end up that way. I was crossing the square when somebody called out to me. Wait! Elisa came up and smiled. I immediately sensed a trap. Where are you going? I'm searching for Shurik. Olga asked me to. And how is it? Exciting? She looked intently into my eyes and I turned away awkwardly. Not really, but a pioneer is missing. Surely you're not freaking out over such a minor thing. What do you mean? Only a few hours have passed. Maybe he just lost track of time while having a walk. Certainly I had the same idea, but I wasn't telling her that. Yes, that's true. But who knows what could have happened? Let me help you with it. With what? I got suspicious. With looking for Shurik. Oh, but I can do it. Oh, come on. He smiled at me, but there was something malevolent in that smile. Naturally, her smile was cute enough, but it really seemed to me like there was something behind it. Well, if you insist. Since I could not understand what's on her mind, I had no real reason to refuse. But before we go, I have to get one thing from home. Okay, I'll wait for you. You're actually serious about just standing there? Let's go. Okay. We approached Elisa's cabin. It would be just like all the other cabins, if not for the Jolly Roger on the door. By the way, Uliana's my roommate. Okay. We entered the cabin. Complete chaos inside really reminded me of my old flat. Now, why I thought of it as old, in general, I would imagine a girl's room differently. Snow white sheets, walls, floors, and ceiling shining, spotless. But when you consider that the two most exemplary pioneers are living here, we just stood silently for some time. And what did you need to get? Huh? It seems like I interrupted Elisa's thinking. Yeah, it's not here actually. Wait here, I'll be back in a minute. She smiled and ran out. She seems really flaky today. I began to examine the room. I wouldn't say that there had been an explosion. It was just a decent mess. Well, at least by looking at all this mess created in one pioneer session, I can surely say that I'm not the messiest person in the world. The decoration of my apartment took years to be completed. I wasn't thinking about anything in particular, I was just looking around the room. Posters of Soviet artists, some books on the shelves, various household items, and then I realized that everything is wrong. Something will happen soon. Something bad. Why did Elisa leave me in here all alone? There was something I had to discover. My gut told me it's dangerous to stay here. I went to the door and tried to open it. Locked. What a surprise. How did she manage to quietly lock me in? I don't know what's on her mind, but I need to get out of here. I went to the window, opened it, and climbed out. No, I can go take care of business, or I chose the second option and waited. Why is the reason she had locked me up? I wanted to know what was happening. Plus, I really wanted to see Elisa's face when she finds her room empty. I hid in the bushes next to the house and waited. After some time, I heard footsteps. Elisa and Olga Dmitrievna came to the house. You'll see everything for yourself. She opened the door and went in. A few seconds later, she ran back out. Elisa's face looked as if she just won the mouse catching competition, but at the last moment found out that that it's not a real Olympic sport. So he just disappeared? Olga asked skeptically. I did the right thing by closing the window after myself. Oh no, I understand everything, Dvadjeskaya. You and your roommate. Every time the same thing. Haven't you had enough yet? But it's true. Oh really? One story after another. Semyon in your cabin. Semyon harassing you. Why do you keep lying? That's horrible. Elisa seemed really upset, and to my surprise, was not going to argue. On the one hand, it was funny to look at, but on the other hand, I felt a bit sorry for Grubnevskaya. She deserved it though, yeah. Our leader finally finished scolding her and left. Elisa was mad. She clenched her fist and trembled. Her face was flushed. It seemed to me that she was going to explode. I sat in the bushes and laughed quietly. However, I was wondering what was on her mind, and came out from my hiding place not afraid of being beaten. So exactly what did you want to show the leader? Me? Lisa turned and looked at me with disbelief. After a moment, surprise turned to anger. You! What about me? She calmed down a bit. Because you're a loser. Why is that? Because you're afraid to compete with me. When? When we played cards. What a serious reason. Yeah, maybe I should apologize to you, I asked sarcastically. Screw you. She went into the house, slamming the door. I wasn't angry at Elisa. In the end, I'd expect her to do something like this. Anyway, I got through it without consequences. I was very lucky. Her confusement and embarrassment just made my day. Chuckling, I left Elisa's cabin, which was about to become my death trap. I didn't get to go to the boathouse. Oh, I can go to the forest and look for him. I mean, no, that's our place. Can't go to their place. Let's go to the forest. It was obvious that Olga and her pioneers had already searched every nook and cranny of the camp, roamed the length and breadth of it, so it's probably not worth looking for Shurik in the canteen or on the beach, or in the cybernetics club. It was his second home, or maybe even his first. Thus, it might be worth looking around the surrounding forest. I didn't plan to go far into the forest, otherwise it might be me who they'll be searching for tomorrow. I didn't really visit the countryside that often. I just stayed in a country house every summer during my childhood. That one was very close to the city. Within this camp, it was possible to find everything I hadn't seen for so long. Overwhelming vegetation, singing birds, and fresh air. I found a meadow and sat on a stump. How peaceful this place is. But where in the world is Shurik? Actually, he could have been taken against his will. This camp is far from normal, so pioneer disappearances should not be all that strange. An intriguing possibility. Could it be the work of whichever force sent me here, or is it just some separate local entities doing? Lost in my own thoughts, I didn't notice how the grass before me started moving. I looked closer and saw a squirrel. It approached me carefully and stared at my hands. Probably used to getting fed here. Sorry, friend, I don't have anything with me. Of course, the squirrel could not understand me and just continued to sit there, waiting for treats. I felt sorry for it because I didn't even have a crumb of bread in my pocket. I realized that I'm even ashamed to look it in the eyes, and decided to move on. After some more wandering, I came to the washstands. Turned out he's not in the forest either, at least not in the surrounding area. And going farther is just frightening. Isn't it further? I walked to the washstands, took off my shirt. Then tried to wipe myself down because I was all sweaty. However, it wasn't so easy. I won't be able to get into the wash bowl, and there isn't even a ladle. Suddenly, I heard footsteps from behind. I turned around. Electronic was walking in my direction. Looking for Shurik? Yep. You too? Me too. Listen, you know I'm better. Where could he have gone? I don't have a clue, he answered sadly. Well, I just don't understand why everyone has made such a fuss. During the night, wasn't he in the cabin with you? Then he can't have been gone for long. Maybe he just went for a walk. You don't know Shurik, said Electronic excitedly. He's fanatically dedicated to his work. His life consists of robotics and cybernetics. People like him are one in a million. No, in a billion. His talent is boundless. I look up to him. He's a man of steel. No, simply triumphant. At that moment he looked like Hitler, making a speech in front of a crowd of thousands. Even his gestures matched. Okay, so what? So what? You don't understand, do you? No? He spends all of it, you see. All of his time, all of his free time in our club. All of it. So disappearing just like that is unusual for him? Of course. It seemed like Electronic calmed down. Okay. He looked at me intently. Are you going to wash? Not really. Just rinse off a bit. It's hot. Me too. He looked around. I wish there was a bucket or a ladle, something to get more water with. Yeah, I noticed already. Then let's do this. He walked behind wash stands and pulled one off the taps. To my surprise, its end turned up, and rather than pouring water into the wash bowl, the water splashed up in almost 90 degrees. You could manage to wash yourself that way. Meanwhile, Electronic took off his shirt and then squatted so it seemed like he pulled down his shorts. I couldn't really tell because the washstand he was behind concealed him to his waist. He directed the steam towards himself and started to sing something quietly. Let's clean my chimney sweep. I stood astonished, not knowing what to do. He seemed to notice it. I'll wash myself and then let you use it. Gosh, I got such a massive chill. Well, I just remembered that I have something to do. Gotta go. Out of all the eccentricities of Electronic, the moment I just saw was the weirdest one. Hey, what's up with you? Cold shower on such a hot day is like the best thing ever. No. That won't do. And anyway, I have to go. I put on my shirt quickly and ran back to the forest. I wonder what's gotten into him. I went for lunch with mixed feelings, with a sense of accomplishment and with a realization of time wasted. The canteen was crowded. I couldn't stay unnoticed. Olga called me. Semyon, come with us. The camp leader, Slavia, and Electronic were sitting at a 4-seat table. I nodded and went to get my food. This time I had to spend several minutes in queue. Today's menu didn't really differ from the other day's menu. The dishes looked the same, at least. When I sat at the table and wished bon appetit to everyone, Olga said, So what are you thinking? About what? Search for Shurik all around. It's noon and he's nowhere to be found. I took a note of the rhyme, but I didn't want to point it out. We looked all over the camp. I went all around the neighboring forest. Olga looked at me, and I helped too. We must call the police. Maybe we should wait until the evening? I asked lazily. Maybe he went home. That can't be. Shurik lives 1,000 miles away. By train? Near a station, she paused. It's far off. Now it was getting interesting. Every time the conversation reached a point concerning ways I could leave Sovnyok, and all the camp inhabitants started changing the subject. How far is far? Really far? Camp leader looked at me, indicating with her expression that asking more questions was not advised. So we should go deeper into the forest. Maybe you got lost. Turek always takes a compass, claimed the electronic. I wonder what else could be found in his magic vest, assuming he has one. If I were to get lost in the forest, a compass would be of no real use. Police, we should call the police in the evening. Not right now, at least. Okay, so you'll do it later. They were all silent. We should be able to find him before the evening. We still have time. If he actually got lost, we got no time to lose. We cannot be sure. Then where is he? Where? There was some truth in the camp leader's words. Hiding the whole day, just like that, is suspicious. Why would he do that? Shurik seemed to me to be quite a serious pioneer. Oleana would have been better fit for this behavior. So there is a good reason to believe that he was gone. All that can be done has already been done. We just have to wait. Flavia, Electronic, and Olga looked at me sorrowfully but didn't say a word. I finished my lunch, took the tray back, and left the canteen. It's still first half of the day. What now? Camp was drifting off for an afternoon nap. Only Genda stared at me through his glasses. Of course he was staring somewhere else, but I had a feeling he was constantly watching me. I bet he knows where Shurik is hiding, he just can't say anything. The disappearance of the Cybernetics Club's leader made me think. Maybe it's got something to do with my case. Oh, Pioneer! The nurse stood in front of me. I looked at her curiously. Go and take my place in the infirmary. I have an urgent call. Somebody is injured. Me? Yes, you. Take the keys. The nurse threw me the keys and ran away. Why me? Isn't there anyone else in the camp? What exactly should I be doing? What if something happens? What do I do now? I missed my chance to refuse. I stood in front of the door uncertainly. On the one hand, there's nothing to worry about. I'll spend half an hour or so here and she'll be back. But what if someone comes for actual help with a broken leg or a head injury? I began to worry too much. I hope that there is no injuries more serious than bruises and scratches in this camp. But at the same time, I could not shake the idea that in a serious situation, I would be absolutely useless. I don't even know how to perform CPR. Magazine on the nurse's table caught my attention. A good way to relax, I guess. This is labeled Soviet Fashion. The publication date or month were absent. However, this was not a surprise. There were much stranger things happening here. I didn't know much about Soviet magazines. Maybe they actually didn't have publication dates on them. Models dressed in old-fashioned clothes stared at me from the glossy pages. Nowadays, nobody would wear such clothes, I smirked. I wonder if Slavia, for example, considered this fashionable. I can only imagine what would happen if she appeared in my time wearing something like this. Imagine we were walking in hand in hand. Imagine we are walking in hand in hand. I'm wearing my coat with the hood and she's dressed in a lavish dress covered with lace and things. Seems like I'm already imagining Slavia in my world with me. Not only Slavia. This dress better suits Oleana. This cute sarafan would look good on Alisa. This skirt and cardigan would look nice on Lena. If only they could be real. No, I saw them, I heard them, I could even touch them. But still, they are here and I simply don't belong in this place. It's alien to me. I'm just waiting for a chance to get out of here. Waiting because nothing is up to me anymore. I sighed and put my head on the table and fell asleep. I was awoken by a noise of the door opening. Lena stood at the door. Yesterday I promised to help her in the infirmary. My cheeks became scarlet shortly and I turned away pretending that I'm busy. The nurse isn't here? Then I'll come back later. I'm substituting for her. Since I am responsible for pioneers' lives, I should do it with full responsibility. Although in fact I was just afraid of something bad happening because of me. Any health complaints? I tried to give Lena the most professional smile I could in order not to confuse her. Nothing special, just a little headache. Let's do this. Painkillers, perhaps? Of course, I wasn't aware where to find the required medicine, so it took me a while to find them. Finally, I handed a metamizole tablet to Lena. Thanks, she smiled. That was completely unexpected and I lost touch with reality staring at her. What? Lena turned awkward in an instant. Listen, I've been wondering, do you like this? I don't know what got into me, but I grabbed the magazine from the table and showed her the picture of a skirt and a cardigan, which would really suit Lena in my opinion. Maybe I went completely nuts, thinking about all the girls being in my world. Or maybe I wanted to distract myself instead of just waiting for the nurse to come back. And I looked at the picture. Yeah, I guess. Is stuff like this in fashion? I guess. I got confused and started blushing. Why do you ask? Really, why? Just asking. We were quiet for some time. How's your headache? Much better, thank you, she smiled. I'll be off. Good luck. Lena went out and I continued to look through the magazine. After a while, somebody knocked at the door again. Seems that the infirmary is the most popular place to go. Suddenly I decided to roleplay as a nurse, just a male version, and said, "Come in." The door opened and Uliana entered the room. Wow, did I miss the moment where you decided to start knocking? Anything wrong with me knocking? She frowned. Where does it hurt? Why on earth would I tell you? Where's the nurse? Nurse, right in front of you. I imposingly crossed my legs and looked questioningly at her. I'd better go. It would be better to die than be treated by you, smiled mischievously. You didn't even let me try. Liana thought for a moment. Oh, you could give me some pills. What's bothering you? It took her some time to reply. A heavy stomach. Sure it's not an empty head? I muttered under my breath. What did you say? Nothing, give me a second. I found the pills in the first drawer I opened. Thank you, doctor, she smiled cheerfully. Watching Juliana, I could not imagine how such an optimistic and active child could have any health problems. Overdose of stolen candies, right? She gave me a baleful look. No, I left everything for you. Liana ran out of the infirmary and slammed the door. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Again, I went back to studying Soviet fashion trends. Time passed by, but the nurse was still absent. I wasn't searching for Shurik, wasn't looking for any clues concerning my situation. I was just sitting and flipping through a magazine. Just for a moment, I felt quite satisfied with the situation. So far, everything that has happened here could be seen as just a trip to a summer camp, and if nothing changes anytime soon, then I can start worrying. Again, somebody knocked on the door. Did I miss the outbreak of an epidemic? Sure did. Slavia was standing in the doorway. Oh, hi, isn't the nurse here? Hi, no, she's not here. I'm taking over for today. Great. She hesitated. What? By the way, Semyon, Slavia said, looked intently at me. What? It seems like I lost my keys. Have you seen them anywhere? Sure I have. Yes, here. I found them near the canteen yesterday. I wanted to return them to you, but forgot about it. I was really bad at lying. My cheeks were red, my eyes were wandering around, and hands were constantly shaking. He's lying to us all the time. He has been lying before and been great at it. I was already preparing myself for an appropriate scolding, but Slavia only took the keys and said, Oh, thanks. So, what have you come for? I really need to change the subject. Does anything hurt? No, it's nothing. Strange. I wouldn't even think that such an open person as Slavia would keep something quiet. If there's something bothering you, tell me. That's why I'm here, to treat people. I smiled widely. No, I mean yes, but no. Hearing that made anything possible, even dividing by 0. So how can I help you? You? I guess you can't. She smiled and was going to leave, but suddenly stopped. However, could you step out for a minute? Why not? Okay. I stepped out of the infirmary and leaned against the wall. I wonder what she might be doing. Something that I can't even see? After a minute, the door opened and Slavia came out. She was carrying a small bundle. Let's ask about one. What is it? Nothing? She blushed. Thank you. You're welcome. Slavia ran away. Seems like I shouldn't have asked. I looked at the time. It was getting late. I'd read the magazine backwards and forwards, but the nurse still wasn't here. Suddenly the door burst open and Alisa rushed inside. She looked at me piercingly. What are you doing here? Sitting, I admitted honestly. Okay then. It's even better without the nurse, she murmured. Are you sick? I asked acidly. Alisa didn't answer and came closer to me. Move over. Why? So I can open the drawer, isn't it obvious? What for? She got angry. None of your business. Well, I'm kind of in charge here. She gave it a moment's thought. Give me some activated carbon. Stomachache? Yeah. She grinned sharply. I got the feeling there was something wrong here. Give Alisa the activated carbon. But you never know. What if she really had this ache? Okay. I reached into the drawer and got out a packet of activated carbon. Thanks. She wrestled it from my hand and ran away. It was 15 minutes till dinner, and the nurse still wasn't back. I guess just leaving this place won't do. She asked me to look after it after all. And who knows what might happen if I leave. Though who would want to steal anything from here? Everybody has gotten what they came for. Except for Alisa stealing the activated carbon. Was that stealing? I opened the magazine again and began flipping through it for the nth time. The fashion of the 80s weren't that much fun anymore. Yawning got to me several times. It was already 6 o'clock, so dinner has already started. Of course, I had to be on watch till the end, but my stomach seemed to have its own opinion in the matter. I stood up and steadily headed to the exit. A rustling sound came from behind the door. Could it be someone else who got poisoned, broke their arm, or something worse? I sighed heavily and pulled the doorknob. However, there was no one out there. Seems it was just my imagination. I returned inside and instantly noticed that something has changed in the infirmary. To be precise, an apple had appeared on the table. But where from? Fruits can't just materialize from thin air by themselves, can they? Though in this camp, anything is possible. Chances are someone just brought it here. Maybe Lena wanted to thank me, given that she's all shy and... But wait, how could she just slip past me like that? Lena wouldn't climb through the window after all. So there must be something else. I was suddenly overwhelmed with fear. What if the apple is poisoned? Though, why would someone complicate things when only in here totally helpless and can be killed way more easily. Or it might be the apple which Eva tasted in the Garden of Eden. In that case, I certainly shouldn't eat it. The same second my stomach reminded me it was there by rumbling traitorously. However, it would take time to close the infirmary, to reach the canteen, to get the food. My stomach is about to eat itself. There's nothing wrong, I guess. Once again, I try to remember if this apple was here before. In the end, it must have appeared from somewhere. Maybe it got here through the window. The shutter was slightly opened, so someone must have reached in and put it here. Nothing serious, however. Don't eat the apple. No, even assuming that this is a normal apple, in any case, I shouldn't eat unwashed fruits. Just like that, I found a reason for my fear and put the apple away. It was time to go to dinner. Along the way, I ran into Electronic. So, how's it going? Did you find Churik? No, still no sign of him. Don't worry, we'll find him. I tried to cheer him up. Too much time has passed. I'll just keep on searching. What about dinner? No, finding Churik is more important, he muttered thoughtfully. I left him at the crossroads and wished him good luck. Pioneers crowded in the doorway. I quickened my pace, trying not to be the last one in line, at least for today. And I was lucky. In the far corner was an absolutely empty table. I took my dinner and quickly sat at the table. Though dinner consisted of fruit soup and a pair of buns. This set surprised me at first, but the taste was actually nice. I concentrated on eating. Lena, let's go here. Look, three free chairs. Lena and Mikko stood in front of me. Are these taken? Wondered Lena. No, take a seat. Of course, I wish I were alone. Thank you. As soon as Lena said that, Senja jumped out from behind her back. I'll sit here. No places are left, she said, putting her tray on the table, sitting down, not even waiting for my answer. Sure, make yourself at home, I muttered sorrowfully. What? Nothing. Tell the truth, I wanted to reduce the whole company to just Lena. Though neither Mikko or Senja were causing much trouble. Except one was too talkative and the other was too arrogant. But nevertheless, they were absolutely harmless, especially compared to others I could name. Oh, it seems I forgot my key. Don't worry, take mine. I was surprised by Mikko's short reply. Do you live together? Of course, didn't you know? Together, our cabin is the rearmost. I mean, the farthest from here. I mean, the last one. I wouldn't have been surprised if someone had told me that Lena lived with Slavia. Or with Senja at the worst, even Electronic. Silent and shy Lena and excessively talkative Mikko as a pair? That's really a surprise. Did you find Churik? It is strange that Senja is disturbed by someone's problems. No. Surely he's at the village buying cigarettes or vodka. She snorted. Village? That moment the conversation got much more interesting. Got a problem with villages? Senja looked amazed. You mean there's a village nearby? I think so, she said uncertainly. I looked at Lena and Mikko, but they were busy with their meals and didn't pay attention to our conversation. You mean you don't know exactly? Why should I care? Senja stared at her dish. There must be something nearby. Listen. I don't know. Will you let me eat? Seems like we won't be getting anything from her. Though there is a chance that she really doesn't know. The remaining time was spent listening to Mikko talking about some nonsense. I was just going slowly mad in silence. Obviously, the first thing I did after getting out after that was inhale a great breath of fresh air. The sun was setting. I decided to take a walk. It is highly unlikely that I will find anything more exciting to do for the rest of the evening. That way, something interesting could arise quite unexpectedly. I was approaching the square when I heard a loud bang. It seemed like something had exploded. I was paralyzed. Am I in an I am in a hostile environment, not knowing the rules and laws of this place. It would be better for me to run, but at the same time I was curious. Probably I would have just kept standing there, but somebody grabbed my hand. It was Olga. Why are you standing here? Let's go see what happened. Can't you ever manage without me? I begged her pitifully. It shouldn't be anything serious, I hope. When we came to the square, there was already a crowd of pioneers. Olga vigorously pushed through the crowd and approached the crime scene. Obviously, someone had tried to blow up Genda, but the attackers failed. The monument was still standing upright. There was only a dim ash traces on the pedestal. Well, who did this? She looked over the crowd of pioneers. Surely it wasn't done by an organized terrorist organization. These guys all came here just to look at what happened. Noticed Ileana and Alisa in the crowd, and it looks like our camp leader noticed them too. You two, come here. They approached reluctantly. Why always me? If you think so. Show me your hands, Dredjeskaya. What's wrong with them? I looked closer and saw that they were smeared with black. Now it's clear. What did you make the bomb with? Junior tourists seemed to hesitate over not to confess, but then blurted out proudly. Activated carbon, saltpeter, and sulfur. Why exactly the monument? What did this honored man ever do to you? Fighter for the rights of? Besides, he gave me activated carbon. She pointed at me with her finger. The whole square stared at me. Thoughts about the pointlessness of this act due to the small bomb size left me at the Thoughts about the pointlessness of this act due to the small bomb size left me at this very moment. She stole it. I did nothing. Even if he gave it to you, I'm sure Semyon would never take part in such a disgusting antisocial act. Yes, exactly. I agreed. I could hardly imagine how long she would have kept on scolding Alisa if Electronic hadn't popped out at that very moment, shouting, I found it! Everyone turns towards him, held a boot in his hand. Here, Electronic boastfully shook it over his head. It's Shurik's boot. Okay, calm down. Tell us every detail. Where did you find it? In the forest. Oh, right. On the way to the old camp, whispers ran among the pioneers. Old camp. Are you sure? Absolutely. What's so special about this old camp? I joined the conversation. It's nothing special, really, she stammered. One of the Sovnik's legends tells the great story of a young camp leader, Ghost, that lives there. She fell in love with a pioneer, but he rejected her, so she killed herself. Rough. She committed harakiri with a kitchen knife. Next day, that boy was hit by a bus. Liana ran out of the crowd a bus. I refrained from asking about the route number. But science doesn't acknowledge the existence of ghosts, so we have nothing to be afraid of. Anyway, somebody should get there. Suddenly the crowd started to thin out. Olga, it's almost night. Maybe tomorrow, said Slavia. I turned around and saw Slavia and Lena. What if at night something happens to him? No, today, right now. By the way, where is this place? Electronic roughly described to me the directions and told me the story of the old camp. The camp leader looked at me attentively. If you think that you're the only man here. I looked around the area. Of course, Electronic was quick to flee. I still didn't want to walk around in the woods alone. If you ask me, I would. Ooh, I get to pick. I don't remember the names. Alisa is that girl. This is Slavia. This is Lena, right? But I would go with Slavia because she's comfortable in the first night. I would go with Slavia. Did she agree? I looked at Slavia. She paid no attention to me. Looks like it's not my day. Am I going there alone? Olga looked thoughtfully. Perhaps you're right. We'll go together tomorrow morning. Man, I should have gone alone, maybe. And then dispersed around the camp. Everybody seemingly forgot about Elisa and her terrorist act, maybe due to the minor damage it caused. Together with the camp leader, I went towards our cabin. I tried to think of why Shurik would go to the old camp. He is interested in robots and cybernetics, not scary stories or ghosts. What does the boot have to do with it? That I remember how I decided to wait until something extraordinary would happen, and then realized this is it. Olga, I think I'll take a walk before bed. Not just a long one. Okay. When I reached the square, I understood that hanging around the forest or some other strange place might not be that scary, but doing so in the dark. I didn't want to return to Olga's cabin, but I had to find a flashlight, for instance. There was one in the infirmary. I was glad I didn't spend my whole time there reading the fashion magazine. The flashlight was found quickly. In a few minutes, I was again standing at the square, pulling myself together. I just had to make the final decision before I entered the forest. Moving past the pioneers' cabins, down the first path towards the abandoned camp. I set forth. Electronic told me that the old building was built immediately after the war. It looked like a kindergarten or like barracks. I expected, and definitely could hold fewer pioneers than today's camp. It has been abandoned for about 20 years. It was now totally dark. The forest looked totally different at night. Mysterious shadows were hiding behind the trees, strange rustlings and the cries of night birds coming from everywhere, branches treacherously snapping under my feet. The full moon was shining, so I decided to save the battery in the flashlight. I'm sure I will need it sometime soon. The further I moved, the more unpleasant thoughts came into my head. I wasn't afraid of the dark at all. I didn't believe in ghosts and other mystical crap. But at the same time, during the last few days, I'd encountered so many incomprehensible phenomena that against my own will, I started to read between the lines of the simplest things. Obviously, I felt exceptionally uneasy in the forest at night. Everywhere I looked, every shadow, every tree or bush looked like weird creatures escaping straight from horror movies or from Stephen King novels. A branch seemed to be someone's hand, eager to grab your shoulder. A fallen log, somebody's dead body, someone who failed to get out of the forest. In every gully, I saw bottomless abyss. If I had found myself in this forest under any other circumstances without all these buses and pioneer camps, of course I would still feel uncomfortable, but then I would be able to explain everything with logic and be afraid of nothing except for owls and mice, of course. But at the moment, there were more than enough reasons to fear. Despite all this, I reached the old camp without any adventures. In a little glade surrounded by trees stood a house resembling a kindergarten. Actually, it's lunchtime, so let's continue this probably tomorrow.